the atmosphere of discovery, where we discover the master's plan for our lives. So today's session, we are on session number 96, right? Today's session, we are going to talk about isolation. Okay. So last week we talked about isolation being a door that causes you to become overwhelmed, that causes you to become overpowered. But isolation simply means separating, disconnecting, or withdrawing yourself mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, or physically from any human interaction. Okay. Isolation means separating, disconnecting, or withdrawing yourself mentally, emotionally. It's not just physically, right? You can also isolate socially, spiritually, or emotionally, right? So people isolate due to shame, lack of trust, pride, and fear, right? And shame causes you to hide due to feelings of unworthiness or embarrassment, okay? It thrives in secrecy. Shame thrives in secrecy. The longer that is hidden, the more power it gains. Okay. Past betrayals or wounds also cause people to withdraw, right? Because they fear that their vulnerability, their openness will lead to more pain. Okay. With pride, with people isolating out of pride, they don't want to admit their struggles or seek help, right? And it causes them to isolate rather than confront their issues or receive correction. Some people can't accept correction. Okay. Um, all of the fears, right? Fear of judgment, fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of confrontation will drive people to pull away and keep others at a distance. So people isolate due to shame, lack of trust, pride, and fear. When you are isolating, it affects your ability to regulate your emotions, right? You cannot know if you are truly healed in isolation, right? Because you don't have anything or anyone to trigger you, right? How will you know if you are affected by that particular thing or that particular person if you have not been presented with it? Does that make sense? But healing is tested and proven in community. Community, we did a session on that. That's session 67. If you don't have a community or you're looking for a community, go review session 67. So healing is tested and proven in community through conflict, right? Feedback or response, and accountability. Okay. So isolation opened those doors to you being overwhelmed by pulling you away from people that are healthy for you just because you don't like that they're telling you the truth, right? And they're not enabling you to stay stuck in that pit. Okay, so we're going to talk about the dangers of isolation. We're going to talk about what it looks like emotionally, physically, right? So the dangers of isolation is it is mental and emotional self-torture, torment, and anguish. It is mental and emotional self-torture, torment, and anguish. In isolation, you create a whole world in your mind, right? Where your thoughts go unchallenged and you continue spiraling into these constant loops of negative thoughts and emotion, right? Because you don't have someone there to check it for you. Okay. In the secrecy of isolation, it strengthens shame. This is the danger of isolation, right? And this is not the secret place that God was telling you to be. Okay. This silence fuels shame. And to break it, you have to speak out about it, right? And you have to replace the lies with the truth. And you won't know the truth if you're not talking to wise people, if you don't have a community of people that can tell you the difference, right? You only have your brain, your emotions that you're basing your truth off of, right? And you need more than your own perspective to balance that out, okay? Broken trust. If you're having trust issues, if you're dealing with broken trust, that is session 54. Really, all of the 50s, you should just go back, start at 54, and then come back up to this one, right? Broken trust. When you don't deal with trust issues, you push away those healthy people, right? The people that's telling you what you need to hear, not just what you want to hear, okay? Also refusing wise counsel. Isolation can be a sign that you are rejecting accountability, right? And you are preferring your own desires over wisdom, over growth, right? And that's Bible. That's Proverbs 18. That's first verse, right? Proverbs is an excellent book to read for wisdom, to gain clarity and understanding, right? So isolation is one of the coping mechanisms when you are in survival mode. And you're going to find out if you're in survival mode, right? Survival mode was session 55. Remember I said start from 54 with the trust issues and just keep going up to this session. Isolation, avoidance, impulsion, and codependency are all unhealthy coping mechanisms that come up while you're in survival mode, right? So if you are experiencing all of these, if you're doing all of them, you're isolating, you're avoiding, you have this impulsive thing going on and this codependency, you are in survival mode, right? If you are secretly struggling, that's isolation and avoidance, right? Impulsively spending, eating, or binging any type of activity. And even if you are excessively emotionally, psychologically reliant on one person, you are in survival mode. Okay. So in survival mode, you will even isolate yourself to that one person that you're dependent upon and become solely dependent on them for everything, right? But what if that person that you're solely dependent on is unwise? What if they're manipulative? What if they're a narcissist, right? They are what you will base your perspectives on, right? This is the person that you will determine your truth by. And if it's not a good person, then what happens with your thoughts? What happens when you're with your emotions, right? People also isolate due to lack of support, right? Which causes discouragement. When you're not supported in the things that you're doing, the things that you're trying to do, it can cause you to be discouragement. And we are responsible for managing our discouragement, right? Before it takes us into isolation, right? If you need help managing discouragement, session 38. That was a little bit early on, right? So session 38, if you need help managing discouragement. So you have to stop talking to the same people that continuously make you feel worse. And we know who those people are, right? And sometimes we try so hard to make the wrong people understand something when the right people are waiting for you to reach out to them, right? And so we need support in different ways for different areas of our life. And it's our job to map out who they are and what we need, okay, from each one of them for whatever purpose, right? And so often people waste energy trying to be understood by the people that are incapable of understanding us, right? While the right support system waits in the background, okay? So we have to identify what kind of support that we need. Is this person a good support emotionally, spiritually, practically, right? Physically, right? And who in your life can provide that specific type of support? Because the person that is available spiritually may not be available emotionally, right? So you need to build a team that is going to grow you and not just a social circle that's just going to make you feel good, right? That's just going to be yes people. They're not going to tell you when you're wrong. As a matter of fact, they're going to help you self-sabotage, right? So when isolation is not for healing and it's not for reflection and it's not for restoration, it is harmful. Okay, and I'm going to tell you the difference if you don't know the difference, right? It can lead you further away from wisdom and further away from growth because it causes you to be stagnated, right? And if you are stagnant and you call yourself isolating, you're isolating the wrong way for the wrong reasons, right? So when you're isolating for the wrong reasons, that reveals the desire to remain in those comfort zones that are damaging, right? It reveals a desire to avoid accountability, right? And to follow your own desires, your own will without input from trusted counsel. And that's where that pride comes in. You don't want to be corrected. You don't want someone to tell you that you're doing something wrong. So you isolate yourself so no one can tell you that you're wrong, right? That's harmful. Isolation becomes dangerous when it is a coping mechanism to avoid pain, people, or responsibility rather than being used as a tool for healing. I'm going to explain to you how you do it the right way. Okay, so if you are using isolation to avoid pain, to avoid people or responsibility, that is harmful. You got to face that stuff. What we talked about last session and being overwhelmed, whatever you don't process, it will repeat, right? If you don't release it, it will repeat. It'll just be a different person, but you're going to repeat those same feelings in that same cycle because you never process that feeling, right? Isolation is dangerous when it is driven by negative emotions. If you want to isolate because of a negative emotion, it will cause you to decline mentally and emotionally, because instead of directing your thoughts or regulating your emotions, right, you start overthinking, right? You start dwelling on the past or having those unproductive, intrusive thoughts, right? You begin to believe lies about yourself because nobody's there to tell you the truth. Nobody's there to speak life into you, right? So you go through this cycle of overthinking, and then anxiety, depression, and that hopelessness deepen in this place, right? Instead of you using isolation to release it. Does that make sense? Isolation is dangerous when it disconnects you from healthy relationships, right? Or you're using the isolation to avoid reality, okay? And you know that you are avoiding reality when you are escaping from your responsibilities, right? You're avoiding those uncomfortable conversations. It looks like not answering the phone because the bill collector's calling, right? You're avoiding those comfortable conversations, or you're avoiding self-reflection. You don't want to look at yourself, right? We have a session on value. That's all the way at the beginning, right? So I encourage you, everything that you are dealing with mentally or emotionally, we have a session on it already, and we're just digging deeper into those things, right? So you begin engaging in avoidance behaviors like overworking, right? Binge watching or picking fights, okay? This is because of the isolation, okay? You're hiding, you're not healing, right? You feel worse instead of feeling relieved, right? You're avoiding people that care about your growth, and you know the difference. You know the people that are yes people, and you know the people that tell you the truth, right? This is the danger of isolation when it is used as a negative coping strategy, okay? Isolation is healthy when it is purpose driven, right? This means you choose time alone to reconnect with yourself, to self-reflect, or to spend time with God, right? You're seeking clarity, you're seeking rest, restoration, and that intentional reflection, right? And rest means that your body and mind has had time to rejuvenate. You cannot call isolation rest if your body is still out of whack, right? You're just using isolation as an excuse, but you are not really resting, okay? When you truly rest, you return stronger, right? You're more grounded instead of more anxious, okay? You have new insights or energy to reconnect with people and your responsibilities. So when you isolate, stop calling it rest if it is not purpose driven. You're just isolating, and it's harmful to you, right? You're not hiding the truth when you are isolating with purpose. Right? You're not afraid. You're not feeling shameful and embarrassed. You're telling people how you feel and what's happening, right? You're not avoiding people in order to keep secrets or to try to maintain your toxic perspective and your toxic habits. People isolate because they don't want people to correct them. They don't want people to tell them, hey, this is not healthy for you, right? When isolation is helpful, you still maintain some form of healthy connection while taking that space for yourself. Yes, absolutely, right? You use the isolation to build resilience, right? You're preparing in that isolation that is purpose driven. You are preparing to re-enter life, to re-enter your relationships with a healthier mindset, right? You're not going in it the same way. You're changing how you think. You're changing your perspective, and you're preparing to act on that changed mindset, right? You're developing that emotional regulation and awareness when you don't isolate long term. Remember, you cannot regulate your emotions by yourself because there's nothing there to confront. Okay? When isolation is healthy, you are healing, you are not hiding, right? You feel clearer, you feel calmer after being alone. You stay accountable even when you step away for a moment. You still have people you are accountable to. You still have people that you're letting them know what's going on. Okay, so those that have pulled away or disconnected, I want you to consider carefully if you are pulling away to restore yourself or to escape something that you don't want to face, right? What are you hoping to get out of that time alone? Are you pulling away to process and heal or to hide and avoid? This is how you tell the difference if it is helpful or harmful, okay? Is this alone time intentional or is it reactive, right? Is it the thing that you automatically do when you don't get your way or when somebody corrects you or when somebody upsets you because they didn't say what you wanted to hear, okay? Did you choose to be alone or did you withdraw without realizing it, right? If you withdrew without realizing it, it might be the harmful thing because you're avoiding now. You're avoiding confrontation, right? Are you avoiding a specific person, a specific conversation, or emotion? These things got to be processed. It's going to repeat itself until you release it. It's going to repeat itself. And it don't repeat itself with the person. It'll repeat itself with another person. And they can understand, well, wait, I didn't really say anything that was that bad. Why are you reacting like? Because that old thing you didn't process is repeating itself on a new person, right? Or to repeat itself in your workplace, okay? Do you feel clearer and calmer after spending time alone? Or do you feel more anxious and overwhelmed? If you're feeling more anxious after spending time alone, you don't know how to isolate properly. And you need to get some accountability. You need to get some community so that they can speak the truth to you. Because your truth is not where it's at, right? And our emotions and our feelings will lie to us about who we are, right? Because we're judging that off an event that happened. We're judging it off of someone's opinion, right? Some opinions are true, right? But they're just opinions. They're not facts. And we have to understand that. As soon as someone says something about us or to us, that it is an opinion. And we cannot allow that opinion to direct our life, especially if it's not the truth, okay? Are your thoughts in isolation compassionate or are they critical? Are you overanalyzing every little thing? Are you constantly beating yourself up, right? Are you imagining worst case scenarios? You're isolating wrong. If nothing positive is coming out of that thing, you're isolating wrong, okay? Have you been honest with anyone about what you're feeling right now? If you haven't, and you're in isolation, that is very dangerous. Our minds, we know this is a computer and we don't even use the fullness of our brains. So what if you decide to use more of that brain power while you're in isolation? And these are negative thoughts and negative feelings. Do you know how quickly you will spiral into thoughts that are dangerous for you? And if nobody knows that's what's happening because you haven't even told them, hey, I'm going to pull back a little bit. I need to do some self-reflection. So they know, hey, I need to check in. They kind of been self-reflecting for 5 years. It's not that much self-reflection in the world. Okay. Is this space helping you or is it just reinforcing your negative beliefs? Is it keeping you in that toxicity and that chaos? Right? Social isolation. Have you pulled away from people who are healthy for you? Are you ignoring calls and messages from people who genuinely care about you and you know the difference? So if you're an adult and you've had a job, you've been around a community of people, you know the people that are healthy for you, right? Do you feel resentful when people check in or do you feel seen? Okay. Do you feel resentful when people check in? Are you angry? Or do you feel seen? If you're angry and resentful and bitter when people are checking in, you are isolating wrong. That's very dangerous, right? Are you afraid of what others might say if you let them in right now? That's that shame. That's that unworthiness. That's that embarrassment, right? Is there someone you know you should talk to, but you keep avoiding them? You're isolating wrong. It's not helpful, right? How long have you been in that state of withdrawal? Like the length of time. How long have, because you can start off right. You can start off purpose driven, right? And then one negative thought can turn that purpose driven isolation, right, into a negative, and you have to catch it the moment it happens, right? That's why I'm going through all of this in depth so that you know how to start managing these things, right? Are you keeping yourself accountable during this time alone, right? And are you still engaging in some form of community or support, even if it's like to a couple of people, right? Just, hey, I'm going to take a week off. I'll check in. And when they check in, you let them know, hey, I'm okay. I'm still in this space. But the moment you feel like you cannot tell them is the moment where you're probably starting to isolate in a harmful way. Does that make sense? So when isolation is helping you, you feel more peaceful, right? You're not anxious. You're not getting more depressed, right? You feel energized. You feel clear. You gain insight. You awaken some things within you, right? You're staying honest, right? You're still allowing connection, but just maybe a little bit. Maybe you're not on the phone, but you're just texting, hey, I'm okay, right? You're using that solitude to restore, not to retreat. Does that make sense? So you're coming out of this thing prepared to act on what was revealed during that isolation. Signs that isolation is hurting you: if you feel stuck, if you feel bitter, if you're feeling more anxious, right? If you're hiding your true feelings or your struggles, if you cut off all of those healthy people, right? If you're avoiding your responsibility, you're avoiding your emotions, you're avoiding the truth. If your thoughts are all harsh and they're spiraling out of control, or they're all like self-sabotaging thoughts, that isolation is hurting you. So it doesn't matter your really good reasons for the isolation. You need to find out if it is harming you or helping you, and be honest with yourself, right? If you are stuck in a cave, if you're stuck in that pit or that dark place that you have convinced yourself is for your protection, but it's a prison, I need you to come out. Come out of isolation, right? Your thoughts, your dreams can't get out, right? Your excellence can't get out. Your future can't get out, right? If you stay in that place. And sometimes you can be physically present, right? But emotionally isolated or spiritually isolated, okay? You're not social distancing, you're emotional and mental distancing, right? And there are spaces and places where you have to, because you cannot avoid certain types of people. Like if you work with certain types of people, you have to work with them. But in your home, around people who love you, around the people that are beneficial to you, and your total presence would benefit them, that is sabotage, not only to yourself, but to those people as well, if you're isolating any part of you, right? So remember, isolation is not just physical. You can physically be somewhere and mentally be another place, right? Some of you have been calling those dark places that you retreat to, you've been calling it rest. I'm going to rest, right? But it isn't rest if you're isolating wrong, okay? Your body is alerting you to that because you're overwhelmed, right? You're getting sick more often. This is how you know. You're calling it rest, but now you're getting sick often, right? Your muscles are now tight and you're irritable, That's not rest. Rest doesn't do that to you. Rest rejuvenates and restores. It puts your body and your mind, your spirit in harmony, right? You've been in isolation, even though you're still showing up to work, you're still showing up to church, you're still going to all the programs, you're still going to the events, but you have emotionally, spiritually, and mentally checked out, right? It's time to reconnect and tell somebody the truth. If you are in isolation and it is harming you, that's the first step. You get rid of the shame and the lies by reaching out to somebody that you know is healthy. Don't reach out to those people that's going to discourage you. Reach out to the people that are healthy. Tell them what you feel, right? Tell someone the truth. Come out of the cave. Confront those damaging, negative coping mechanisms, right? Generate thoughts that are purpose-driven, right? And then intentionally imagine and expect a future that is not connected to your mistakes and perceived failures. If every time you talk about your hope or what you want to do and you connect it with a mistake, you're sabotaging it. You are discouraging yourself, right? So imagine the future without your mistakes in it, right? The light is not going to hurt you. It's going to grow you, right? It's going to heal you and cause you to grow out of that self-sabotage and that survival mentality that has convinced you that this is what living is. That is not living. And being in survival mode, being in isolation that is harmful is not living, right? It is existing in a world where your triggers and your traumas and your shame have created it, right? They've created this world for you and you're living in it. And you don't have to allow them to live through you anymore, right? It's time to live on purpose, in purpose, okay? So if you have been the one that is isolating and you're calling it rest, but you're not healing, you're just hiding and you're avoiding, come out. Right after this session, tell someone. If you can't call them, text them, send an email. Send a pigeon if you have to with a note on his leg. Tell someone. I've listed so many things that lets you know if you're isolating wrong, right? If that touched you, as soon as this session is over, tell someone what you're feeling. Let them know that, hey, I've been withdrawn, I've disconnected, and this is why. The healthy person, do not tell the wrong people, okay? We have an email. If you don't have a community yet, replenish3125@gmail. Tell me, right? And then we could work through getting you out of that space. Okay, replenish3125@gmail.com if you do not have a community yet, right? And we're also on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and of course here on YouTube. Okay, come out. I already given you the first step. I've already given you a list of things that let you know if you're isolating in a harmful way, if you're using isolation as a negative coping mechanism. As soon as this is over, tell someone, I've been withdrawn, I've disconnected, and this is why. That alleviates the shame of it, the embarrassment, the unworthiness, right? So you're on your way to the truth and you're on your way out of that place. Now, the reasons why you went in there, I guarantee you one of the reasons we already have a session for, right? And it might be all of the reasons that I listed, right? It may be pride, it might be shame, it may be fear, all those fears, rejection, abandonment, all that. We have sessions on all of that, right? So if you really want to get out of it, okay, the place is there, the teaching is there, the session is there, okay? And again, if you don't have community, you can always email us and we can work through that together. So that concludes our session for today. If you've been in the house, you haven't communicated with anyone, I need you to tell someone that you've withdrawn, you disconnected, and tell them how you feel, okay? So that you can come out and live again. Stop just surviving. Stop just existing. okay? And live on purpose, but not just on purpose, live in your purpose. There's wonderful things that happen when you walk in your purpose, when you do the thing that you specifically was created to do. There's people waiting on you. There's people that can't go from point A to point B because they're waiting on you to come out of the cave. Okay? They're waiting on you. There's something great in you, and you've been lying to yourself, telling yourself that it's not, but it is. I'm sorry. That's the truth. That's not my opinion. Okay? There's something that you have to do, and I need you to come out so that you can do it. Okay? God bless you all. Share this with somebody that you haven't heard from. Share it with everybody that you have not seen or heard from, and you know they're in isolation. They keep blowing you off, forwarding your calls to voicemail. Send this to them. Okay? Tell them, come on out. It's time to come out. Come out. Talk to somebody. Someone healthy, right? That's going to encourage you. And when it is someone healthy, they will say things like, I was waiting for you to let me know what was going on. Those are healthy people. Okay? Come out of the cave, come out of isolation, whatever you call it. Come out of your rest. It's not resting because your body's all going haywire and you're irritable. Come out. You're isolating wrong. Come out. Come out. Come out. Come out. Okay? God bless you. I will see you all next Friday at 3 p.m.